Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Cronin from Upthink Innovation Agency, and I'm delighted to be with you here this morning. Thank you to the Sunday Business Post for the invite. I'm a circular economy specialist, and my focus today is talking about leveraging technology and information to tackle the challenges and to create circular cities, towns, and communities. So first, we'll start with what is the circular economy. 2.01 billion metric tons of municipal solid waste is produced every year. A minimum of a third of this is not managed in an environmentally safe manner, with global waste production estimated to double over the next 10 years. So what does this really mean? That's enough waste to fill over 13 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. So I'm going to show you a short video from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation.
We live in a world with finite materials.
We are throwing an awful lot of electronics,
plastic, food, carpets,
clothing
away. It's a waste of precious materials.
If we could build an economy that would use things rather than use them up, we could build a future that really could work in the long term.
You design the product in a way that
Can be taken apart. Once the consumer has finished using them,
you remanufacture it and give it out again. You can reduce your production cost hugely if applied correctly.
Instead of garments ending up in landfill,
companies can repurpose it, reuse it, making profit out of their waste.
We take some resources from nature and bring it back in the form of nutrients.
It's very much a natural cycle.
We use 70% less water than conventional agricultural methods.
Our packaging is not a waste, it's something that you can consume and eat.
We redesign everyday products to make them fully recyclable.
We farm as close to nature as is possible.
The H&M Group has set ambitious targets to use 100% sustainably sourced materials.
There is a lot of conversation about not buying clothes, but different models where you can rent clothing.
We developed fully modular headphones that we offer on a subscription basis.
The circular economy itself is inevitable in my view.
it's not one fix, it's about the entire system being redesigned.
this is, to me, the only way to fight climate change, to fight pollution, to fight waste.
This is a business model that stacks up.
Global companies cannot survive in the future without transitioning towards a circular economy. That is a really exciting future.
So what does this really mean? We'll start with what is the linear economy. So the current economic paradigm, a linear economy traditionally follows the take, make, dispose step-by-step plan. This means that raw materials are collected and then transformed into products that are used until they are finally discarded as waste. Value is created in the economic system by producing and selling as many products as possible, known as take, make, and waste. The key elements of the circular economy, this is a butterfly diagram from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So circular economy is one that's restorative by nature. So it's based on the three principles. We design out waste and pollution when we're designing our systems. We keep products and materials in use for as long as possible. And we regenerate natural systems like the natural cycle. And on the left here, we're looking at biological resources and renewable biological resources. So the bioeconomy is about renewable resources coming from land, sea, crops, and forestry. And here on the right, we have the circular economy element, which decouples economic growth from consumptions, distinguishes technical and biological materials, designs for optimized material flow. We have a number of loops. As you can see, recycle is at the furthest part of our loop. The nearest the inner loop we are, the better. So for example, the more we can maintain and keep products in use for as long as possible, the better. Drivers and benefits. So the world population means more pressure on resources and materials. So by 2030, we'll have 8.6 billion people. That means more resources, more materials, and more demand on technology and data and integration of those data and these platforms. So the benefits, so looking at the benefits. So we really want to reduce the pressure on the environment, improve security of raw materials, increase competitiveness, stimulate innovation, and boost growth and jobs. So if we look at the circles here, raw materials conservation is in around reuse of water. Innovation in remanufacture is looking at our engines, our electric motors, our machines and tools and how we use them, creating durable products built to last. Within this environment, when we're recycling, we're looking at more jobs and that economic jobs, both in urban and rural areas, and that's why we need connectivity. From a CO2 emissions reduction aspect, we're looking at energy, raw materials, and waste in reducing all of those from a circular economy aspect in cities and towns. There are a lot of opportunities across all of our sectors. And what we're looking at doing is integrating these, but leveraging technology and data to drive these. So for example, in agri and food, there's a lot of work being done in technology, data mining and optimizing these, and sensors working in farms and agriculture and food. But across the sectors, including pharma, electronics and ICTs, measuring a lot of this data through tech. There are a lot of opportunities in Ireland. So you may say, what does this mean for us in towns and cities? Every year, there's 100 million tonnes of materials used annually in the Irish economy. 5% material improvement could yield at 2.32 billion per annum for the Irish economy. So this is an opportunity that's largely uncapitalized. So what that means with waste is, all of this waste is currently being thrown and given to put in landfills. We can turn that waste into a resource and create new revenue models with that. The EEA report, BioWaste Europe, says biowaste is one of the key waste streams in Europe and holds great potential for the circular bioeconomy. So what does this really mean? So from a cost aspect, 80% of all industry food waste is losing Irish SMEs over 2 billion annually. Recycling biowaste is one of the key drivers to meet the EU targets, recycle 65% of waste by 2035. And the National Food Waste Prevention Programme and Climate Action Plan target to reduce waste by 50% by 2030. That means there's a lot of opportunities in new business models, all acquiring and leveraging tech and data to drive these. This is a framework from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. I'm just giving examples of business models that are currently working in this area. Regenerate is around shifting to renewable energy. Hexaflower, a company in that space. Sharing the sharing economy is about reusing, sharing assets, and we'll know, for example, the likes of Airbnb, and an Irish example is Car2Go. Optimizing, here we're removing waste and production in the supply chain, leveraging big data, automation, remote sensing, iCloud, IoT, sensing. Here, a lot of companies in this space. We have a lot of companies in the biorefining space in Ireland, like Nutrimaro, InBio, Monaghan Mushrooms, and College Group, who are creating biofuels, doing all of this. It's a part of the loop within this. What we mean by that is, for example, we've companies who are recycling materials, digesting anaerobics, that's called anaerobic digesting. Extracting biochemicals from organic waste, example of that would be green generation. So some challenges. So if we look at the challenges from a demand side, we've consumer demand, lack of appetite to pay more currently for circular products. However, that's changing, especially post-COVID and having short supply chains. We have a convenience culture, same-day delivery, fast fashion, single use. That's also changing. And the investment pressure. Can investors get higher return on investments? And yes, more investments are heading towards the bioeconomy, the circular economy, and what we're calling ESGs. And we'll talk about those later. Supply. So costs, virgin raw materials are cheaper. So it's cheaper to get new materials than to go back and recycle or reuse the materials. Consumer behavior and lack of customer circular business models, but that's changing also. And there's more innovative business models being created. And that it will be a whole integration from a systems aspect, including creating circular cities, towns, and communities. Just some gaps from scaling the circular and bioeconomy. We're looking at materials, generating enough volume of pure secondary raw materials, and we call that biomass. Infrastructure, like we're talking about today, enabling infrastructure markets to aggregate those waste byproducts. And data, producing all that material to track all of our data right across the system, enabling recovery, reuse, recycling, like in buildings, for example, that we track everything that goes into our buildings. And we do this through digital product passports, standardization, developing national level and waste by waste products decision for some materials. A big part here in creating awareness about the circular economy and the bioeconomy and terminology right through our systems and through our educational systems. We need to create policy and regulation coherence and align our regulations and funding. There's a lot of funding coming down from Europe, but it's access to funding for SMEs that we need to make sure they get, and designing, doing circular design early in products. Here, just to sum that up, circular economy drivers are about our customers, delivering customers' outcomes, creating that sustainability with circular and bioeconomy, and technology is a big part of this, enabling new solutions through data, through platforms, through systems change. So just to bring in sustainable development goals here, I've just highlighted the key ones. But the main one I want to talk about is number 11, Sustainable Development Goal 11, which is sustainable cities, communities, and towns. I'm using the donut shape and sustainable development image here. The key goal is to make inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities and communities. And that will all be done at a systems level aspect, leveraging technology and data to reduce energy and material consumptions, to decrease and measure pollution, to increase urban and regional resilience. And here I've just put this here just from an ICT, the role of technology innovation and accelerating this. But a key one here is number 8. There's some really good digital innovation frameworks coming from Europe in around how we drive and technology and digital transformation to really stimulate this ICT-centric innovative entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. Leading all of this from Europe is Circular Economy Action Plan, and this will mandate circularity. In this plan, consumption of biomass, fossil fuel metals and minerals are to double over the next 40 years. Annual waste generation is projected to increase by 70% by 2050. Resource extraction and processing causing 50% of total GHG emissions and more than 90% of biodiversity loss and water stress. So scaling the circular economy will help climate neutrality by 2050, decouple our economic growth from our resource use. Now, this is going to be driven by regulation. So the National Circular Economy Bill places the impending circular economy strategy and the commitment to circular economy on a statutory footing. And just the key elements here are sustainable product policy, key product value chains, less waste, more value, cross-cutting actions, driving the transition to research, innovation, and digitalization. Just to give you an example here, circular bioeconomy opportunities. The bioeconomy is underpinned by the unique characteristics featured by biological resources that makes it attractive for renewability, CO2 friendly, reuse, provide new improved functionality for higher stability, longer life, stronger endurance, and less toxicity and less water usage. I've just given you an example here, which I've taken from DAFN, who are doing fantastic work, particular Patrick Barrett, biorefining as an enabling technology. So we're taking in the biomass and the resources of waste, and we're creating energy, creating byproducts. We've great companies doing this, Nutrimaro, AgriChemway, Biotanics, and Monaghan Mushrooms, amongst others, and College Group who are creating biofuels. And to wrap up, fostering the circular digital economy, what we need to do innovation, develop our ecosystem, an integrated ecosystem, encourage collaboration and partnerships, implement circular design at the beginning of when we're creating business models, build that whole infrastructure that we're talking about today, to drive and leverage technology and data, scale and execute our new business models, and mobilize finance. And I'm just going to pick up on that last one because I do a lot of work in mobilizing finance. But first, collaborations and partnerships. Driving the transition through research, innovation, and digitalization with a lot of hubs, a lot of research, a lot of innovation going on there in the likes of BioOrbic, great work being done in the Irish Bioeconomy Foundation and UCD Energy Institute, all aligned with Enterprise Ireland technology centres. Circularity, fantastic work in circular economy. And finally, funding for circular innovation. This works at a national level, grant and equity, and EU level. There's a lot of funding out there, but it's a noisy space. So accessing it through the government, Department of Agri, Energy, Business, all have, for example, the Climate Enterprise Fund, the Disruptive Technologies Fund, a lot happening in Enterprise Ireland. You have to look out for them. But a lot happening also in Europe, a lot of grants and equity, EU Life, driving through circular cities and regions initiatives, environment and climate action through LIFE programme. So the future circular is connected cities, towns, and communities. And here's just a final overall picture of where we're at. We're enabling technologies, big data, mobility, iCloud and IoT to generate and help with business imperatives like managing risk, efficiency and productivity, better citizen service, to create that value generation of cost benefits, predictability, user experience, new products and services, to provide community and city services like waste, mobility, transport, buildings, creating those smart city and community goals, economic development, sustainability, higher quality of life for all of us going forward, and more jobs, creating a circular smart cities and smart communities in really what we call a circular economy ecosystem. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you.